Hello everyone, Automew the Violet Wizard here, and today we are starting a brand new adventure in Super Mario World! One of my all-time favorite games of all time, if not my favorite game of all time. Aw man, this game is very dear to my heart. It was one of the earliest games I've ever played, and along with just a bunch of other stuff I played at the time, really made me a fan of the red-capped plumber for so many years. I wouldn't be the video game aficionado I am today if it weren't for games like this getting me into just the general world of video gaming, and yeah, this is a very special game to me, and I can't wait to be able to share my experiences with it here today. So love the intro here, just nice way to showcase a little of the things we're able to do, especially in regards to some of the different things that were introduced in this game that you couldn't do in some of the previous Mario games. So unofficially, a lot of people consider this Super Mario Bros. 4, which is an interesting distinction to make, as it did come after Super Mario Bros. 3, but it's technically counted as like its own separate thing. But I think that's enough of going over just general explanations. Let us hop right into this adventure. So starting off, we have 3 empty save files right off the bat, so you have plenty of time to get to experiment with a lot of different runs, should you feel like it. And when you select a file, you have the choice of doing a 1-player game or a 2-player game. I definitely went with the 2-player selection with me and my brothers back in the day. But for this, we're going to be doing a 1-player adventure. Welcome! This is Dinosaur Land. In this strange land, we find that Princess Toadstool's missing again. Looks like Bowser's at it again. For those that don't know, originally Princess Peach was known as Princess Toadstool in the North American localization. So I think that stopped doing that around the time of Super Mario 64, as that was the first time she was called Peach in North America. But yeah, we're jumping right back into the first world. Yoshi's Island. Definitely an interesting setting here. It's very compact and cozy. If we select Yoshi's house here on the world map, you can see just a nice little house here. Hello, sorry I'm not home, but I have gone to rescue my friends who were captured by Bowser. Yoshi. I love the little handprint there. Also, apparently Yoshi is literate. We have just a nice little house here. So I like the little birds just hanging out at the top. It's not much we can do here, and once we exit from either side of the screen, you go back to the world map. It's kind of a simple area, but I don't know, it's just nice to establish that this area is lived in by a lot of different things. But let's start off the adventure by going into our first real level, Yoshi's Island 1. Right off the bat, we got a new enemy sliding down a slope. That is a unshelled Koopa Troopa. Pretty standard enemy, all things considered. That thing I grabbed there is a dragon coin. You want to grab as many of those as you can when you're going for the levels, because if you collect 5 of them, you'll get something very nice. So walking over this way, you avoid that guy, a Bonsai Bill. And that guy is a Rex. Those are pretty unique enemies in that, unlike most Mario enemies, you have to hit them twice. They start off tall. When you hit them once, they shrink down and just keep moving. But yeah, what I grabbed there was a Super Mushroom, which transformed Mario from Small Mario into Super Mario. As Super Mario, we're able to do a lot of cool stuff that we couldn't do in our previous state. Namely, new to this game is the spin jump, which is pretty nice. You're instantly able to kill most enemies you hit with this maneuver, and also gives you some nice elevation. And specifically when you use this technique as Super Mario and not Small Mario, you can have some nice things happen to you. Got some pipes here. Just want to show off here. By doing our spin jump on those yellow blocks, we're able to break them. You can't do that if you're Small Mario. You have to be Big Mario to do that. But yeah, kind of going into some of the things we can get here in this world. So picking up some coins, those are one of the main pickups you're getting all throughout the game, and by collecting a bunch of them, you're able to get some nice goodies. Namely, collecting 100 coins will net you an extra life, as this is one of those classic games where there are lives. So what I passed by here is a checkpoint gate. If you hit that, then should you die, you will start your next run of this level at the checkpoint gate, so you don't have to start all the way at the beginning. And see there, there's also a dotted line in the shape of a square. We'll worry about that a bit later. You can hold an extra item in the box at the top of the screen. To use it, press the select button. Yeah, if you noticed earlier, we grabbed a mushroom, and it went into that little box on the top of the screen. That is our item storage, and by pressing select, you're able to access any items that you have in storage. It's quite a nice little feature, and definitely adds a lot. Ooh. Ow! So I wasn't able to duck in time with that bonsai bill. So I really should not be dawdling here at this level, because the music started to speed up there. That's an indicator that we are almost out of time. So what I grabbed there was a green mushroom. That is the 1-up mushroom. Hit that, and you will gain an extra life, which is, overall, just very good to have. You'll definitely want to stock up on lives there. That guy jumping out of the pipe there is a jumping piranha plant. Quite different from piranha plants we've seen in previous games. They'll just shoot up with the pipes whenever they have the chance. And here's another new face of the game, a charging Chuck. These guys can be a bit of a pain to deal with, but this one's mainly here to spring jump off of, and oof. Weren't able to get that entirely well, but that is the end of level gate. By hitting that, we have cleared the course. And hello there, Nate. I can see you are accompanying us on this adventure now. Welcome aboard. This journey has just started, and it's definitely going to be crazy. So by clearing that level, we're able to access this hill up here. And this is going to be an interesting topic to go over. So this is a very special level, the Yellow Switch Palace. All throughout the game, there are 4 Switch Palaces hidden all throughout the game. And the yellow one is usually the one you are guaranteed to reach, since all you need to do is clear the first level to access it. So what the Switch Palaces do is if you clear it, those dotted lines that you saw earlier will fill up with a box that you're able to hit in order to access certain things, or just provide some extra platforms for you throughout the levels. So the thing is, the Switch Palaces tend to make the game a lot easier, and for this run specifically, I want to try avoid using the Switch Palaces and getting all their benefits, at least until I beat the game once. Because I feel like that'll definitely be an interesting challenge for us. I've played for this game so many times, and yeah, the palaces really do make things easy for ya. Alright, with that said, we're going to avoid the Switch Palace entirely and get started on our next level, Yoshi's Island 2. Right away, we got this Koopa shell here. As we could demonstrate earlier, we're able to pick these up and throw them, and ow. Yeah, what I want to show there is that if you are able to hit enough enemies in a row with a shell, then you'll get a point multiplier, which will also give you, if you manage to kill enough enemies in a row, you'll receive an extra life, which is nice. But if you hit this block here, look who it is. Hooray! Thank you for rescuing me! My name is Yoshi! On my way to rescue my friends, Bowser trapped me in that egg! Here is Yoshi! Easily one of the most important additions to this game. To do a spin jump, press the A button. A Super Mario can spin jump, can break some of that blocks, and defeat some of the tougher enemies. So Yoshi is one of the main gimmicks of this game introduced here, and he's awesome. We are able to extend his tongue in order to eat certain things like berries off of trees. He's instantly able to kill certain enemies, which is very nice, or he can swallow them. Now, some enemies like Koopas, Yoshi is incapable of fully eating, so you can just spit them out. But yeah, Yoshi's very effective at taking care of a lot of threats in this game. Sadly, he's not that good at dealing with charging chucks. He can't eat them, he can't kill them in one hit, but they do go down eventually. Charging chucks will require 3 hits in order to take out, which can be a bit of a pain. Point of advice, this gate marks the middle of this area. By cutting the tape here, you can continue from close to this point. Yep, as I demonstrated before. What's nice if you pass by the checkpoint gates, when you're small Mario, you automatically turn into big Mario. So I got a 1-up mushroom from that egg. If you have Yoshi and you manage to hit a block that contains a Yoshi egg in it, it'll instead give you a 1-up, which is pretty nice. And over here we got some new enemies, Monty Moles. These guys will spring up out of the ground and just try to attack you. Now, I want to dismount Yoshi here because we can't climb up vines with him, and want to grab that dragon coin. Got another dragon coin up here, which is very good to grab. Yep, by getting 5 dragon coins in a level, you're able to get an extra life, which is very nice. Want to eat as many of these berries as you can, because if Yoshi eats enough berries, he can and release an egg, which will give you either items or 1-ups and stuff, which would be very nice. And here we got these blue blocks that we're able to pick up and throw. You have a limited time to be able to do these. And by timing your throws correctly, you can hit these question blocks up here. What I find very interesting in this game is that they have a lot of flying to do with a lot of the things you interact with, namely with some blocks that you need to hit. But yeah, it's a very nice way to handle a lot of things. And right there is a P-switch. By hitting that, we're able to transform coins into these brown blocks. And I want to demonstrate here if we get this right. Alright, so if you manage to hit the tape instead of just passing through the gate, you're able to get some bonus points. Those will be useful for something going forward, but we're going to worry about talking about that a little later. Just know that the higher up on the end of level gate you manage to hit the tape, the more points you get, which is all very good. So let's move on to Yoshi's Island 3. This is definitely a level that is a lot easier should you get the yellow switch palace, as you can see there. The big coins are dragon coins. If you pick up 5 of these in one area, you get an extra Mario. That's right. Luckily, I shouldn't have to worry too much about needing to run out of lives here, because I have played this game a lot, so I have some pretty good experience there. Now, what I'd like to demonstrate here with these guys is that Yoshi has a lot of different effects depending on what he swallows. So the types of Koopa shells that Yoshi consumes give him different abilities. In that case, by eating a red Koopa, we're able to spit out fireballs instead of just spitting out a green Koopa shell. So that's very nice. It definitely adds a lot of distinction between what Yoshi's able to do. I feel like there's a secret in this level that we missed, but it's kind of easier to handle if we have the Switch Palace, so we'll ignore that for now. When you stomp on an enemy, you can jump high if you hold the jump button. Use up on the control pad to jump high in the shallow water. It's a nice little bit of advice. So I like this to hit the Koopas from blocks while you're standing under them, because that gives you a nice... I don't know, it's just nice to stun them and force them into their shells. This part can be a bit tricky if we don't have the yellow switch palace. So got these yellow platforms here that will just extend and contract, and you definitely want to have good timing when going across them, because it can be pretty tricky. Now that block is special. The green star block has a chance of giving you some different rewards depending on certain things. I think it might have to do with either the time or your current score, but yeah, it's not something we're really going to see too much of throughout this game, I feel. With that, we've cleared another level. Doing good so far. Alright, moving on to Yoshi's Island 4. As you can see here, this level's going to be a bit different. So we have a predominantly a water-filled area. And see there, we got some new enemies, Cheep Cheeps. Whoa, bye Yoshi. Yeah, unfortunately, if Yoshi falls down a bottomless pit, there is no coming back from that. Yeah, Cheep Cheeps are kind of standard fish enemies. They'll jump up at you if they're in the water and can just be a little annoying to deal with. So got these mines here that you definitely want to watch out for. Alright, so I want to throw this shell up and knock that P-switch down. So that'll allow us to drop these Koopas down. And we grabbed a very nice item. So that is the Starman. By hitting that, we get temporary invincibility. And while you're invincible, you're able to KO enemies just instantly by touching them. And if you're able to kill enough enemies in a chain from a single Starman, you are able to get a very good score and also rack in some extra 1-ups, which is very nice. Alright, we're taking care of that level. And it's kind of a shame we don't have Yoshi right now, so I want to show off something here. You know what I want to do? Let's pop back into Yoshi's Island 2 right quick, so I can show this off. Alright, we were able to get that bonus there. So you're able to get back Yoshi from any of the blocks you see in the levels. And if you've already beaten a level, you can just simply hit start and select, and you're able to leave the level with anything you've managed to gather. So instead, let's head into our first castle. Iggy's Castle. First off, whenever you go to castles, you cannot bring Yoshi inside. So sadly, we're not going to be able to have our dino friend accompany us in here. Press up on the control pad while jumping, and you can cling to the fence. To go in the door at the end of this area, use up also. So yeah, we have fences here in this castle that you're able to climb up on. There will be some Koopa Troopas that will be hanging out on the fences as well, and you can simply take care of those guys by either hitting them from the top, or by punching them if they're on the other side of the fence, which is definitely a nice way of dealing with things. So I haven't really talked about it just now, but one of the items that we've been accessing and giving Mario this red and white appearance is a fire flower. We'll definitely want to talk a bit more about that when we have the chance. So that fireball there is called a Potaboo. They are kind of simple to deal with. You just need to avoid hitting them, and they move in a rhythmic pattern so that you're easily able to tell where they are. So you can see here there are these door sections of the gates that will allow you to get to the other side of the fences, which is definitely helpful given the position of some of the Koopas. You're able to easily deal with them. Alright, but that's it for this fence section. One of Yoshi's friends is trapped in the castle by Iggy Koopa. To defeat him, push him into the lava pool. So definitely want to go a bit more to this, but now we have another section. We have an auto-scroll section with these big pillars that come down from the ceiling. So definitely want to avoid getting hit by those, because getting crushed is instant death. Do not let that happen to ya. We should be near the end here. Let's wait for that to extend and get across. There we go. And here's the end of level door. Hit that, and we get sent to the boss, Iggy Koopa, one of the 7 Koopalings. They're pretty much Bowser's generals in this game, causing a lot of mayhem all throughout the world, and we need to take care of them. You're able to handle Iggy very simply there. Just bop him on the head, or throw fireballs at him if you have the Fire Flower power-up, and you'll send him into the lava below. With that, we've taken care of our first boss. I don't know about you, but Iggy's always my favorite of the Koopalings. Mario has defeated the demented Iggy Koopa in Castle Number 1, and rescued Yoshi's friend who's still trapped in an egg. Together, they now travel to Donut Land. I also like these end-of-castle screens where you show Mario destroying the castle. As we go further along in the game, we see a lot of different ways he manages to go about that, which actually inspired an interesting set of animations that I definitely got a kick out of during my scrolling through Newgrounds days. So now we have the option to either continue and save, or continue without save. In order to save your game in this game, you have to clear a certain type of level, namely castles, or boo houses, or fortresses. So it's definitely a interesting way to go about things, so that you're just not able to instantly save whenever you want. So now that we're here at the Donut Plains, we can show off if you have access to the map, you're able to scroll around and just access, just gives you a good idea on a lot of the different areas you'll be able to explore. Definitely a lot of levels here in this particular game, and we'll definitely be going through as many of these as possible, definitely throughout this run. Alright, but let's head off into the next world, Donut Plains 1. And very sorry, Yoshi, but we have to ditch you again. You can easily just spin jump off of Yoshi. So this level is going to be good for several reasons. Namely, it's our introduction to a new power-up, the Cape Feather. This is a very awesome power-up that allows us to basically fly. You're able to skip, like, pretty much the entire level this way. And you can even gain a bit of elevation if you're able to time the movements correctly. Man, I just love flying with this thing. It's so good. But yeah, I just want to quickly head back so we can do this level properly. You can slowly descend this way, or just hit the ground like that in a big impact, which can also destroy enemies that are on the screen. Ow. Yep, sadly you do lose that power if you get hit. What's nice is that you can also take charging chucks out with fireballs, which would be a nice way of handling that. Yep, come back here, Yosh. Sorry for leaving you behind. Just want to show off the feather because... where'd that baseball come from? I just want to show that off because the Cape Feather kind of breaks things. It's definitely one of the most powerful abilities there are in this game, as it's able to just allow you to skip entire sections of levels very easily. And yeah, it's a very awesome power. Just want to see a bit more of this level before we move on to some of the other discussion topics here. So we head down this pipe, I believe. Oop, we have another section here. So this is an interesting part which tells you a bit more about the cape. Use Mario's cape to soar for the air. Run fast, jump, and hold the Y button. To keep balance, use left and right on the control pad. So we also have these triangle blocks here. By running into those, you're able to... you're basically able to run up a wall. And by doing that, we're able to get to certain sections we couldn't access before. Yeah, this is a nice area just to let you practice your capabilities. You can also gather a lot of coins here, which is good for getting 1-ups. Yeah, by just doing all that, you're able to accumulate a lot of good stuff. Actually running pretty low in terms of how much time we have here in the level. Sorry we gotta ditch Yoshi, but it's what happens. Now, this enemy here is, I believe, called a Lava Lotus. They'll just spit up fireballs that can do damage to you, and definitely don't want that to happen. It'd be pretty tricky to take out, too. Like, not even the Fire Flower is able to deal with them. Let's go over here, and by timing things really well... Ooh, we were actually almost able to do that. We can access that area that has a key and a keyhole. We'll definitely want to talk about that a bit later. The red dot areas on the map have 2 different exits. If you have the time and skill, be sure to look for them. And we definitely will. Alright, can we get you up here? There we go. Got some good points there. Wow, 98 on our bonus. We are very close to being able to do a certain thing. Alright, so kind of to go into what that one box was talking about. As you can see on the map, when we were back in Yoshi's Island, all the levels were indicated with a yellow dot. But here in Donut Plains, there are some levels that have a red flashing dot. These indicate that these are levels that have 2 exits, and if you're able to find the second exit, you can access a different pathway that will unlock certain special levels. I'm definitely going to be showing off as many of these special exits eventually, But for now, I just want to make a straight path and show off the main route through most of the levels. We'll definitely want to go back and show off as many of the secret exits as we can. So right there, we got a new enemy. That is a Buzzy Beetle. They're like Koopa Troopas, except you can't fireball them. And we got another new enemy here, a Swooper. So those are bats that will just swoop down from the ceiling, and they can be kind of annoying to deal with. Gotta be careful there, because those shells can be really brutal should they bounce into you. So I'm gonna grab another spare feather there, so it's nice to have. And this level can be a bit tricky to deal with. If you got these walls that will just rise up and down, it can easily crush you if you're not careful. And so you want to make sure that you are scrolling in time with the area so that you don't have to worry about getting crushed. As you're definitely stuck behind the wall and the edge of the screen, that can also result in you being crushed, which is no bueno for a lot of reasons. Yeah, this is a pretty simple level. I think now we got a bit of downtime, just want to talk a bit about the music in this game, because dang is it good. Definitely one of my favorite of Koji Kondo's soundtracks he's worked on. And what's interesting too about the soundtrack is that most of the songs in it are just the same song, only with a lot of different adjustments made to it. Which I feel is certainly adds a lot of personality to this game, having a lot of levels be very using the same track, but having it very different style in order to showcase the personality of the different areas. Ooh, want to avoid getting crushed there. Alright, just wait for that to lower, and then we should be good to go. Alright, the scrolling will start to speed up here. Alright, what's nice if you have the cape feather, you can also slow your fall to be able to more accurately judge where you're going to position yourself. That there is some new enemies, Spike Tops. They're like Buzzy Beetles, except they have a spike on them, so you can't jump on them. And like that is the end of the level. And now it's time to show off what we get from our bonus. So once you're able to surpass 100 bonus points, we enter a bonus game. So all we have to do here is hit the blocks and see what we are able to get. So what we need to do here is try to match up the blocks with the symbols in order to get a lot of 1-ups. The amount of 1-ups you get are dependent on how many lines you're able to match with all of the different blocks there. Like that, we're able to take care of another level in the Donut Plains. Now time for the Donut Ghost House. This is definitely an interesting level here. Much like the castle we saw before, this is a level you can't take Yoshi in. So boo houses, you can obviously expect to find boos. This is a ghost house. Can you find the exit? Hee hee hee, don't get lost. This area is definitely pretty creepy. We got a lot of ghosts up there. They are, of course, the boos, a very standard spectral enemy in the Mario series. So here we got some more boos. These ones are definitely interesting. So boos behave a lot differently from most Mario enemies. As long as you're not looking on them, the boos will be active and try to hit you. However, if you are looking directly at the boo, then they won't move at all. Alright, now this is a bit interesting. So by hitting this block, we're able to make basically a snake chain of these coins. What you want to do is just use the direction pad to make them move in a certain pattern in order to try to maximize how many coins you're able to get to spawn. And then you just grab up all the coins that you can. It's pretty simple to deal with, and there's some levels that definitely make interesting use of the coin snakes, as we will see later on. So you can really fly up high there. Wow, that was cool. Yep, it's a nice little room that gave us some nice bonuses. How are we gonna get out of here? So what's interesting about the ghost houses is that getting through them is going to require a lot of strategy. There's a lot of different pathways you can take in here, and sometimes When it seems like you've gone into the same room you had before, you access a different one. By hitting that block in that room, we're able to create a vine that allows us to escape. That's just one of the exits that we can get in the ghost house. So pretty much any ghost house you access will have a secret exit. And finding the secret exits can get you a lot of goodies. Especially this ghost house in particular, which has something really cool that we'll want to see. Oh, I guess now the game is kind of showing that there is a hidden level in the lake. I didn't notice that before. But yeah, crossing that bridge we make from beating the ghost house, we're now able to access Donut Plains free. Alright, I remember this level now. This is a pretty good one. And again, going with how much I love the music here, this frickin' theme is great. So I believe this is specifically known as the athletic theme. And just very nice. I love how fast-paced but also gentle this song sounds. It just has a very nice tone to it that I really enjoy. But this area is definitely pretty tricky to handle. You definitely want to try to get good timing on the platforms. Otherwise, it can be really tricky to get through here. You can slide the screen left or right by pressing the L or R buttons on top of the controller. You may be able to see further ahead. That's a nice feature in this game, is using the left or right buttons to be able to scroll the screen. Gives you a nice idea on what is ahead of you. And this section here is going to be interesting. So want to hit these switches in order to change the pathways. Wow, I don't think I was supposed to hit that. No, that's definitely bad. Bad. Let's go over there. Alright, so these little black enemies here are called fuzzies. They are one of the few enemies that I believe are invincible, so you can't actually kill them. So they'll typically be hanging out on any of these rails, and will just try to hinder you as much as possible. Like, going up on this pipe here, we have a new style of bonus game. So this room is interesting. You want to try and hit these question mark blocks in a certain order in order to get the goodies out of them. If you hit them in the incorrect order, then you won't get the prizes inside, which are, of course, extra lives. Alright, that worked out very well. We got a lot of 1-ups from that. And so many lives, too. It's very nice. And we have another one of these star blocks, and that gave us, like, nothing. Okay? Alright. I want to see if we can time this a bit better so we can get a good bonus. It's got 50 here, and... just give me a second. I want to see if we can get a good bonus. Alright. Let's go there. 30 points. That is really good. It's actually close to another good bonus with that. Oh, it's so good. Alright, so time for Donut Plains 4. This is going to be an interesting level, I can tell. So we have there is a yellow shell. If you see a Koopa go into a yellow shell, avoid them while they can. They will turn rainbow colored, and then they will just be completely invincible. And yeah, that's a pain to deal with. So this area definitely has a lot of interesting things here. So we got here are a mainstay of the series, Goombas. Unlike in most games, when you hit a Goomba in this game, you're actually able to temporarily stun them and be able to pick them up and throw them like projectiles. Kind of interesting. Have this section here with these raising and lowering pipes. It'd be a bit tricky to deal with, but we also have our cape feathers, so we won't have to worry too much about it. And allows us to skip a good chunk of the level. So now we have a new enemy here, Hammer Bro. Unlike most games, Hammer Bros are actually not that big of a deal. Because Hammer Bros in this game are much different and easier to handle. They're only standing on a single platform, and they tend to time their hammer throws in a certain way that you can easily maneuver around them. It's got another Hammer Bro here. Want to take you out and then jump on your platform to get up here. Good. So we're already halfway through this level. I want to say this section can be a bit tricky going forward. So we got some Goombas with wings. These are actually known as Paragoombas. And their flying abilities give them some interesting properties. They're namely able to jump, which can be a little tricky to deal with. Now here we got this see-through block. So these blocks contain special items in them that can be picked up, and depending on your timing, they will shoot out a different item for you. So you definitely want to time those carefully. If you're able to actually get the a superstar here, you got a section here that's really good for picking up extra lives. Alright, is there anything else we can get with Yoshi here? Yeah, we also got some other Goombas here that are parachuting down. Just want to avoid those guys. Alright. Hammer Bros dealt with, and we're almost done the level. Just gotta jump over here. And we're done. Alright, we got another bonus before the next castle. That's good. Yeah, as you can no doubt tell, Mario games tend to be very fast-paced, which I find very good. We should definitely not be spending too much time in this series, I feel. Can I get this? Timing. Right. I feel like if you're on Yoshi, like, the timing on these blocks can be a little tricky. Not the best bonus there, but at least we were able to get a few extra lives there. Actually sitting on a pretty good supply of lives right now with 34. Alright, we're already at the next castle. There's obviously some more levels we can do here in the Donut Plains. We'll say that for a bit later. Let's go to number 2, Morton's Castle. So much like Iggy's castle before, we got ourselves another tricky level to deal with. Typically, castles tend to have a lot of more dangerous hazards than you find in the normal levels. So here we got Thwimps. Basically smaller versions of another enemy in the series called Thwomps. And there we got Ball and Chains, which are tricky to deal with. Right, here are the big guys, Thwomps. These big stone guys will try to crush you when you walk under them. And got a new enemy here, Dry Bones. It's pretty much an undead skeletal Koopa. They are pretty tricky to kill. They're immune to fireballs, and if you jump on them, they will collapse into a pile of their own bones before eventually reforming themselves. So they're kind of tricky to deal with. And this floor of this castle, I remember very distinctly. It's kind of tricky to deal with. We got a lot of platforms here that will be moving from side to side. And you want to have careful timing when going through this area. So what we have here is a spring. We're able to bounce off that in order to access that area up there to grab some extra coins. So you can pick these up and then position them whenever you need them, which is very nice. It definitely adds a lot of strategy into your platforming here. Alright, this area, want to be careful to avoid getting crushed. There we go. It's nice if you do have the cape. That is a good way of taking care of Dry Bones. Alright, now this section... This one can be a bit tricky. Just want to leap up here. Good duck to avoid getting crushed. Just weird that I kind of slid out of there. But yeah, this part is going to be a little tricky. We have the feather, so we're able to slower descent and have an easier time maneuvering around the platforms to get up here. And once you know it, we are already at the end. You can see there are green dotted lines in this area. If we manage to find the green switch palace, which is in the Donut Plains, we would be able to access what's inside those blocks, but sadly we haven't. We'll definitely check that out a bit later. But let's go into the boss, Morton Koopa Jr. This guy's pretty simple, you just need to jump on him. However, he will start to climb the walls and the ceiling. Just try to goad him into jumping down, and that is all you need to do. It's a pretty simple boss, all things considered. Ow, June. Get back down here, bud. If you can also tell from the sprite work in this game, yeah, The sprites for the Koopalings in this game are very different compared to how the Koopalings would normally look in their official artwork. Which I do find a little... I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I mean, I do like the art style of this game very much. It's very bright and colorful, definitely makes use of the Super Nintendo's capabilities. Morton Koopa Jr. at Castle 2 is now just a memory. The next area is the underground Vanilla Dome. What traps await Mario in this new world? What will become of Princess Toadstool? Only one way to find out. So now we got a new area here, which, as we can see, is mostly underground focused. Let's head down to Vanilla Dome 1. Oh yeah, this level, I remember this a lot. This level can be pretty tricky to deal with. It's also, I want to say, one of the longest levels we've seen up to this point. I want to try to get that there. Thank you. But yeah, this level is interesting for a few reasons. Alright, something I want to show here. We haven't seen what happens if Yoshi eats a blue shell. If we do that, Yoshi will sprout wings. Sadly, it's not very useful in this level, so we'll just maneuver around there. As I said before, you can spin jump to break these yellow blocks, which is a good way to be able to maneuver around this area. Nothing we can really grab there, so let's see what we can find down in this section here. That was another fire flower. I don't really need that, though. Let's drop the cape feather so that we can have this. Alright. Alright, so that is all taken care of, so let's head this way. Yoshi's able to eat buzzy beetles just fine, which I find kind of interesting. Like, he can't handle eating Koopas, but buzzy beetles are totally on the menu. And you can see there, we got some more dotted lines that we need to deal with. We'll save that for a bit later. Going over this way. Alright, remember this room being a bit interesting. So we hit that, we get another Starman. Jump up, and you want to run through here as fast as you can, because this platform is sinking into the lava. Sadly, we weren't able to hit that last Koopa, which would have given us an extra life. But it's fine. We are steadily getting to the end of this area now. So got a little maze area here that can be pretty interesting to get through. There's definitely a lot of spike tops here, which we have Yoshi, so we can easily eat as many of these enemies as we can. Yoshi, no! Alright, we're probably going to lose Yoshi. Yep, there he goes. So we lost our pal, but that's okay. Find plenty of other levels for him. Yeah, something like the cape feather or the fireballs are good to have in this area. Definitely good for clearing out the enemies there. Alright, so we demonstrated there. It's very good to use the spin jump to take care of buzzy beetles. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck dealing with a very tricky enemy. And like that, we've reached the end of that level. Yeah, they're definitely amping up the challenge here. Vanilla Dome, I want to say, is when things start to definitely ramp out in terms of challenge, especially compared to Yoshi's Island and the Donut Plains. Alright, let's head off to Vanilla Dome 2. This area I definitely remember very well, because both of these levels have secret pathways that can access a lot of stuff for you. So what I want to do here is I want to mainly use fireballs. What is nice is that you don't have to worry about fireballs being useless underwater. You're able to easily throw them even when you're dealing with things underwater, which is nice. Definitely doesn't work logically, but still. Alright, we lost that, which is a little disappointing, but we can still use our cape underwater, which is good for taking care of these cheap jeeps. I think there's something in one of these blocks. Yep, there is an extra feather. That'll be good. And yeah, highly recommend trying to find these secret pathways in these levels specifically, because they can net you some good stuff. See if we can grab that dragon coin. And let's go up there. Ah, we lost our fire away. So we can see there those... gotta be careful here, because I remember certain glitch involving this area. Yeah, our charging chucks are able to break through those yellow blocks. Let's grab that Starman, and let's get out of here. So what's nice in this area is you want to definitely pay attention to the location of some of the architecture around here, especially the brown blocks that you would occasionally see down here. Because that P-switch can be used to access a lot of things down here in the caves, which can definitely be useful to you. We'll take care of that swooper there. We should be pretty close to the end of this area, though. Take that guy out. Oh, they're multiplying! So that's apparently how charging chucks reproduce. I never really took them for the asexual type. Oh well. But yeah, I could probably say right now, I really do like the concept of the charging chucks, how they're these Koopas that wearing football gear, and they're very much related to sports in a lot of ways. They're very cool and iconic enemies, and I like how they've been seeing a lot more appearances in a lot of the more recent games, which I feel is very nice. Anyway, it's time to head to the vanilla ghost house. Oh, trust me, this ghost house is anything but vanilla. So I want to say this is a ghost house where there aren't secret exits out of. So there we saw some Eries. They're pretty much just ghostly dinosaurs that are very fitting because this world is the dinosaur land. So wanna maneuver around these guys in order to grab that. So I believe this specific formation of boos in the ring are called Boo Buddies. And yeah, they'll just be flying around a circle, and you want to try to maneuver yourself so that you can get through the gap. Could these Eries just please leave me alone? Just constantly hanging in my way. If we go over here, meet the Big Boo. This guy is obviously a really big boo. You want to avoid hitting those guys as much as you can because they hurt. But just like the other boos, they're still really shy, so you're easily able to just maneuver around them if you are good enough at... I managed to grab that. We should be pretty close to the end here. So through this door, this is an interesting section. We got these green bubbles here. Want to avoid touching those because they do damage. Just want to maneuver carefully in this area. Please don't hit me. And around here, we have these blocks that I definitely recommend you hit. That middle one has a P-switch. Let's drag this over near the exit. It's got that formation of coins there. Hit the P-switch, and we expose a secret door, taking us to the exit. So yeah, there's definitely a very tricky level. Definitely a lot of challenges for us. We haven't seen all of the ghostly enemies yet, but that was a sizable number of the ones that we can encounter. Let's go ahead and save our game, and then move on to our next level, Vanilla Dome 3. So I'm thinking at this point, just the way things have been going, we might be doing our Super Mario Brother World... we'll do our Super Mario World streams in probably, I want to say, like, hour-long sessions, about on average. Just I feel like there'd be a good amount of time spent on this game. I don't want to, like, really blaze through this game in a very short number of sessions, so just want to make the most of my time here. Anyway, got a new level here that's definitely very tricky. As you can no doubt tell, touching lava is instant death. We're riding on these skull platforms to take us across the lava, and you want to avoid those red guys that leap up out of the lava. those are called blargs. And they can be tricky to deal with. All you have to do is jump over them, really. And they're not too bad. But, of course, because they live in lava, just want to avoid them when you can. So next we have the cape here, because that'll be good going forward. So got some piranha plants poking up out of these pipes. Yeah, actual, genuine piranha plants. Alright, let's hit those. And want to be careful here because we can't duck under this platform, so we just have to kind of hang out up here in order to grab onto the skulls again. So we can hop down this pipe, which shows off this very icy cave. We like the aesthetic of this area. It doesn't get used too often in the game, but just very nice looking. A lot of nice secrets you can find here too, like that dragon coin. And that should do it for this area. Of course, in those icy areas, the ground is very slippery, so you want to be careful. Ow. Alright, can we get you to stop? And let's grab our Yoshi here. This will definitely be helpful around this area, especially now that we have our cape. Should have a pretty good time maneuvering around this area. Also, Yoshi, don't lick the lava! It's very spicy. Yeah, we should have a pretty good time getting through the rest of this area now. Alright, if we time our jump here just right, we're able to grab that coin. And moving on to this area. Definitely want to be careful here because of these spike tops. Definitely regulating our movements. We can only go a certain way. At least Yoshi's getting a lot of good snacks here. And there's the last dragon coin in this area. Nice. Grab that feather for later, please. Alright, we should be close to the final stretch. It's nice that Yoshi can't actually eat the piranha plants here. So I guess Yoshi does like a couple veggies in his diet alongside the regular enemies. And there is the exit. So I think that if you're able to hit the tape at the top of the gate, if you hit the very top, you get 50 bonus points, which is really good. But yeah, we're done with that level, so it's time to move on to Vanilla Dome number 4. I really love the aesthetic of this level, just that twilight sky looks so good. And I love these giant platforms here. I guess they're supposed to be daikon radishes. But yeah, just a very nice looking level. I love this aesthetic so much. And these big mushroom platforms just bring to mind a lot of levels from the original Super Mario Bros. Well, there goes Yoshi. Yes, level's pretty tricky because we got these bullet bills firing at us. They are a staple of the Mario series all the way back from the first game, only in this level, they're not firing out of any bill blasters. Alright. I like just how tall this gate is, and you have to hit at the very top in order to be able to access it. It's a nice little thing. I think one of these pipes might have a secret in them. Yep. Alright, we got another skull platform here. So this should probably be a pretty simple area of just trying to collect as many coins as we can. So I feel like a P-switch would also be helpful here. And there's another dragon coin. Alright, let's move on. Oh, sorry to knock you out of your shell, buddy. So I like the unshelled Koopas, how they're wearing these white undershirts. Gives them a very cute appearance. Alright, let's hop there and grab that dragon coin, and we're already at the end. Ooh, we got 40. That's like the second best thing we could have gotten from there. With that, we get one more bonus game before we head off to the next boss, which is good. Alright, this bonus game will definitely have some good stuff for us to grab. If we hit a good chain here, we should be able... Alright, we got it! So I think managing to hit all of the blocks with the same picture will give you 9 1-ups. That was very good. Got so many mushrooms there. And time to move on to the castle of this area. Castle number 3, Lemmy's Castle. Now, if you know anything about the Koopalings, you can definitely say that Lemmy is among my favorites. He just has a fun personality. But this level's tricky. Got a new enemy here, Magic Koopa. This guy is a pain to deal with. He shoots these magic spells that look like PlayStation 2 buttons, and those spells can hit certain enemies. I mean, they'll hit blocks and turn them into enemies, which could definitely be tricky to deal with. So the Magic Koopa is definitely one of the biggest hazards in this area. If you manage to hit him, he will stop teleporting for a little while in the level. So if we manage to get to this door, I think we're able to skip a good chunk of the level here and move on to the next session. Alright, so we're in an area where we don't have to deal with the Magic Koopas anymore, but we got some more moving platforms and lava. This area can definitely be tricky to deal with. If you have the Cape Feather, though, you should have a pretty good time maneuvering through this area. We can jump up there. Got some more potaboos leaping up. Let's take that guy out so we don't have to deal with him later. And just kind of wait there. I like Mario's crouch animation, how he's holding his hat. It's just a very cute little animation. It's a lot of personality. That's what I like, too, about most Mario games, especially in the classic era. A lot of personality to them in the character designs that I feel are very good. I want to be careful here. Yeah, that stops before it hits the lava. So I want to maneuver over here and keep up there. Should be pretty close to the end here, I want to say. I have some more dry bones to deal with, but they're pretty easy to take out. So I love this particular design of the dry bones. They're so menacing looking, especially the fact that they don't have any lower jaw. But anyway, time to face the boss, Lemmy Koopa. This is an interesting area. Lemmy will pop out of the pipes alongside these dummies, and we basically have to try to hit the right Lemmy and not hit any of the dummies. And of course, we got that potaboo flying around trying to hit us as we try to maneuver through here. So it's a little tricky to deal with this boss. And I especially remember as a kid, this castle gave me so much trouble to deal with. But we were able to handle that pretty well. And we're actually almost at the hour point, which is very good. Thank you! So love that. Just bash it all down with a hammer. Mario has triumphed over Lemmy Koopa Castle Free. Mario's quest is starting to get much more difficult. Have you found the red and green switches yet? That is a hint about some of the switches you could get. Obviously, the green switch is located in the Donut Plains, and the red switch is inside the Vanilla Dome. But we'll be handling all that a bit later. I definitely want to continue my streak of not hitting any of the Switch Palaces for the time being. But yeah, with that, we have made very good progress in this game so far. So we are close to halfway done the game, actually, as we move on to the next area, Cheese Bridge area. So yeah, we'll definitely be handling some more of the surprises that the game has to offer for us in the next session. But for now, this was a good hour. We were able to get a lot of good progress in, and we still have a lot to go through in this game, especially with some of the extra content. But for now, our main journey to stop Bowser has reached a good stopping point for now, so we'll be ending things here. Next time on Super Mario World, we'll be seeing what we're able to find across the Cheese Bridge. It should be a Gouda time. See you next time, everybody.